Hi, I'm Sarah Hamaker, Crosswalk contributing writer. Today I'm going to walk you through my article, 9 Ways to Get Unsaved Loved Ones to Church. Now, I know the burden of having loved ones who don't love Jesus, and I know that one of the best ways to introduce them to Christ is to invite them to church. However, sometimes it can be difficult to know how to do it. And sometimes we can maybe go about it the wrong way that might actually turn off our loved ones and make them not want to come to church. So my article, 9 Ways to Get Your Unsaved Loved Ones to Church, I start with 3 ways to not get your loved ones to church. 3 ways almost guaranteed to keep them not going to church with you. Nagging them. Now there's asking them to church and then there's nagging them. Every chance you get, come to church, come to church, come to church. If you like to be nagged, you're in the very, very tiny minority. So just keep that in mind. No nagging. Frighten them with hell. Yes, hell is a real place. But if we're trying to scare a loved one into coming to church, let's not use fear as a way to draw someone to Christ. That's just not the way to go about it. Trick them. This is like, hey, come to a picnic with me, and they find out the picnic is the after-service potluck, and they have to sit through the sermon, and they didn't know they were going to have to sit through the sermon before they got to eat your lovely lemon meringue pie. No, 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 no. No tricking. This is not trying to get our kids to eat vegetables by hiding them in brownies. No, we want our loved ones to come to church because we invited them, and they want to come. So now let's talk about 9 ways we can encourage our loved ones to attend church. Number 1, and this is what you should do before you do anything else, pray for them. I know you're probably already doing this, but continue to pray for them and ask God for ways to soften their hearts so they would be open to you asking them to come to church. Number 2 is invite them. This is not the nagging every Sunday you're coming to church. This is, hey, come to church with me. I'd love it if you came with me. Be faithful in asking. Again, not nagging. This is not trying to put a guilt trip on them or ask them over and over and over again. But it is to be consistent with asking them so that they know that you want them to come. You're doing it in a way that's not nagging, but you're doing it frequently enough that if they change their mind, they can just come without having to ask you to come with them. Accept no graciously, which is number 4. This is when somebody says no, and we just let them say no. We said, okay, maybe next time. Or, yeah, all right, well, thanks for telling me. You could ask, well, why not? But then you don't want to get into an argument. So just accept no graciously and realize that not this time, maybe another time will work. Talk about church like you enjoy it. This is something that sometimes you hear people talk about church and it sounds like they don't like it. So why would someone want to go to a place that you don't act like you like? Let's talk positively about church. We can talk about how the sermon impacted our lives and how it made us love Christ more. We can talk about a verse that spoke to us. We can talk about the programs that are helping our children learn to be kind. We can talk about the wonderful way our church loves one another. So talk about it like you like it. Share your faith, number 6. Share your faith in normal conversation. I remember when I was doing pool membership for our local community pool, I had people, they would come by my house and this was before electronic payments were so easy. They would come by my house and drop off checks for the pool, for their pool membership. And I just remember talking to them just about normal things, and sometimes faith came up. It just seemed like a normal thing to say, oh, well, on Sundays we go to church because, blah, blah, blah. And that just became an interesting way just to kind of, oh, where do you go to church? Or, oh, I'll go to church too, or whatever. So there are ways that sometimes your faith and your church going will come up in normal conversations. Take advantage of that. Show others the support of your local church, number 7. I find that when the local church loves on its members, yes, we do many churches do a lot of great outreach and great things in the community, but when the local church shows its love for its members, there's something really special. I go to a relatively small church, less than 100 members, And we have this wonderful ministry to new moms and to anyone who's in the hospital or sick for a prolonged period of time. We bring them meals. We bring them meals for about 2 to 3 weeks, like every other day meals. When I mentioned this as a new mom to another new mom who happened to attend a different church, she was like, "Your church does that?" And she went to a large church. I was like, "Yeah, it's really cool." And it shows the love and support of your church. So if your church does things like that, that shows the love and support of its members, share that as you talk about your life. And then you'll be able to kind of get them interested. Well, that's really neat. That's a neat thing about the body of Christ, is how we love one another. Number 8, think outside the four walls. If the coronavirus pandemic has done anything, it has moved almost all churches online in some capacity, and many keep that up. So if your loved one maybe is not comfortable actually going to church, share with them how they can attend church from their home. Now, this is kind of a stopgap, because we ought to be fellowshipping with one another in person when at all possible. But it might be a good way to kind of get that loved one into church without leaving the comfort of their home. Number 9, be open to other churches. Now, we love our church, and you love your church. And this is a good thing. We want our loved ones to come to our church. But if you know that your loved one maybe might feel more comfortable in a more liturgical setting, for example, or they might be more comfortable in a Pentecostal setting because of their personality or their love of music or whatever, fill in the blank, be open to finding another gospel-centric church in your area and saying, "Hey, I know my church might not be your cup of tea, but do you want to come with me to this other church? I think you might like their musical style better." That's fine. We want our loved ones to come to church, to hear the gospel, to know Jesus. So it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter where they go as long as they go, right? So I hope that this has encouraged you in your faith, and that you will consider these 9 ways to invite your loved one to church, and also think about ways you can encourage your fellow Christians along the way. I'm Sarah Hamaker, contributing writer for Crosswalk, and I hope you'll join me next time.